Big Race Ball Cards. Sean the Jedi Master. Sean, I need you to do me a favor and send me a message so that I can send your giveaway package out. You are the only one I didn't have an address for. So, Sean, if you could do that, unless if you can tell me if I do have your address from before, what was your channel name before, maybe? But other than that, yeah, I don't have an address that I know of for sure to where to send your giveaway package. That's the only one I'm waiting on. I got everybody's there except for Sean and Bernie. I'll be sending yours with your next Patreon package, okay? Just to save on postage for me. But Sean Jedi Bad One. So, Sean, just do me a favor and send me a email, okay? DonaldBlumdahl@gmail.com. Okay? Here, I'll put it in here. Okay? Go ahead and send it to that email address, and it would be awesome. Then I can send your package out to you. I sent out everybody else's. I sent out Left Behind Times, Dragon Fan Tim, God is Great. Of course, Big Ray donated his to God is Great. Lockin99 donated his to God is Great. God is Great's package got sent out. Matty Ice Cards got sent out. Jay's Mix got sent out. So I've got everybody taken care of from the June, July, August giveaway. Hopefully you all enjoy your packages when you get it. But Sean the Jedi Master or Sean Jedi Master. Okay, I'll email you. All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. But everybody's there. God is Great's in the house. Chuck's in the house. All right, let me start logging people in here so I know I get everybody here real quick. Okay, so we've got Big Rays, the first one here. I'll just shorten it because I'll know what I'm putting on there. Okay, and then Sean, Jedi Master. Space Case Cards. Hunter Buescher. Then I've got Chuck. God is Great. Right. Oops, sorry about that. It's great. Make sure I don't have anybody missed. We still got about a minute to go here. Hey, great. Bernie H is here. Okay. Bernie, Big Ray, God is great, God is great, God is great, God is great. Bernie, Space Case, God. Sean the Jedi Master, don't forget to Shohei Ohtani. Strike the like button. There you go. Chuck, chuck, chuck. And we can end early birds. Got you all logged in here. All right, so I've got Bernie H., Big Ray, Sean the Jedi Master, Space Case Cards, Hunter Buscher, Chuck Dupree, and God is Great. Did I miss anybody? Speak now or forever hold your peace. We do have 183 entries so far, not including today's, so far for our September giveaway. We're getting a jump start on September this month of August. I'll be going out of town every night here to go to a special church meeting over on Whidbey Island. All right, I believe I've got everybody. I got Sean the Jedi Master, God is Great, and the early turd. Early turd? No, I said early bird, not the early turd. Early bird entries. And Titus. All right. We are good to go. Let me get everybody in here for a 2+ for now. 2+. 2+. 2+. 2+. 2+. And a 2+. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 97. So probably after one or two of our trivias here, we should have 200 entries. And we will have I'll start with updating my list here, my page. As soon as I get Sean the Jedi Master's address, then I can turn over a new page and start my new one for September. But I will update that and show that when we get to that point. So for yesterday, for Monday, August the 12th, 2024, the baseball birthdays for yesterday were Christy Mathewson, Ray Schlack, Bob Bull, and Fred Hutchinson. Okay, yesterday's trivia is team history. All right, there is one correct answer worth 5 points for whoever gets it first. So here we go with the question and the 4 answers. All right, team history. The Phillies sluggers Mike Schmidt and Greg Luzinski both had more than 30 home runs and 100 RBIs in 1977. Who were the most recent pair of Phillies to accomplish the same feat? Was it A, Mike Schmidt and Juan Samuel? Was it B, Pete Incaviglia and Darren Dalton? Was it C, Benito Santiago and Todd Zeal? Or was it D, Ryan Howard and Chase Utley? Go ahead and give your answer now. Cops is in the house, okay. Yes, Cops, I'll get you in for a 2+ there. It means we're 1 entry away from 200. Who said it first? Space Case Cards said D. All right, that is the correct answer. So Space Case Cards, you got the 5 points for the first trivia. Let me go over the answer real quick here. Oops, let me turn my camera around now, since you had got to see me for the introduction of the video. Let me go into my settings here and switch the cameras. Might have to zoom in, we'll see. Oh, no, we're good to go. All right, so again, it was team history. It was D, Ryan Howard and Chase Utley. Let's go over the answers here coming up next. So the answer is D. In 2006, first baseman Howard hit 58 homers and drove in 149 runs. Second baseman Chase Utley hit 32 home runs and drove in 102. So was D was the answer to our question of the team history. Sorry about that. So there you go, Space Case cards. You got that one. So our next one for today, for August the 13th, 2024, the baseball birthdays for today are Mudcat Grant, Jay Buhner, Andre Thornton, and Vinegar Bend Mizell. Right? It is anniversaries. Anniversaries. Make sure, double check I got everything marked up right. Yep. Which team had 3 hurlers in the top 5 of the Cy Young Award voting 50 years ago in 1974? Okay, I'll read the question one more time. Which team had 3 hurlers in the top 5 of the Cy Young Award voting 50 years ago in 1974? Was it A, the Braves, B, the Cubs, C, the Athletics, D, the Cardinals, or E, the Dodgers? Go ahead and give your answers now. Sean the Jedi Master got that one, with E being first, and Bernie H chimed in right afterwards. So Sean the Jedi Master got the 5 entries for that trivia. Okay? And again, it's anniversaries. Which team had 3 hurlers in the top 5 of the Cy Young Award voting 50 years ago in 1974? It was the Dodgers. And our answer on the back here, it was E. Mike Marshall finished first with an otherworldly record of 106 games. 83 games finished and a league-leading 21 saves. Andy Messersmith was a distant runner-up with a 20-6 mark. Don Sutton finished fourth with a 19-9 record and led the league with 40 starts. So there you have it. There's our answer E, as read. Thank you. So now I'm leaving work. HAGD. What's HAGD? HAGD. But thank you there. We'll put this off to the side for now. We'll come back to that at the end of the stream for the end of stream 2-minute warning. So again, today we are doing George Harold Sisler, who played for St. Louis and Washington in the American League and Boston in the National League in 1915 through 1930. Holds 2 American League records, making 257 hits in 1920 and batting 419.4197 I think, in 1922, retired with a major league average of 341 and accredited with being one of the best 2 fielding first basemen in the history of the game. These are my 2 baseball cards I've got here. George Sisler, playing years 1915 to 1930. and a Donruss Diamond King 1919 of, and this is from a 2019. So in celebration of 100 years of George Sisler there. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Where are we at here? Okay, where'd my... All right, bear with me here a minute here. Okay. Oh, all right. Hopefully you guys are having a great Tuesday out there. All right. Let's, as soon as my computer catches up to me here, we'll be ready to go. Just got you shared out there, Donald. Oh, thank you there. Thank you. Appreciate it. Me do a refresh here, see how many thumbs up we've got. I see one. Right. And we are ready to go for George. Okay. All right. Looks like, oh, perfect. Number 7. George was born March 24th, 1893, and passed away on March 26th, 1973, about 2 days after his birthday. 2 days after his birthday. So he was 80 years old, nicknamed Gorgeous George. Was an American professional baseball first baseman and player manager from 1915 through 1930. He played in Major League Baseball for the St. Louis Browns, the Washington Senators, and the Boston Braves. He managed the Browns from 1924 through 1926. Sisler played college baseball for the University of Michigan and was signed by the St. Louis Browns in 1915. He won the American League batting title in 1920 and 22. In 1920, he batted .407 and recorded 257 hits. The record until Ichiro Suzuki had 262 in 2004. Sisler won the American League Most Valuable Player Award in 1922, finishing with a batting average of .420. The third highest batting average by American League or National League players after 1900. An attack of sinusitis caused vision troubles that jeopardized Sisler's career, but he returned to play in 1924, remaining in the major leagues through the 1930 season. After Sisler retired as a player, he worked as a major league scout and aide. A two-time batting champion and career .340 hitter, Sisler led the league in hits twice, triples twice, and stolen bases 4 times. He collected 200 or more hits 6 times in his career and had a batting average of over .300, a total of 13 times through his career. Sisler was elected to the National Baseball Hall of Fame in 1939. As far as his early life, George Harold Sisler was born March 24, 1893, in the unincorporated hamlet of Manchester, now part of a city in New Franklin, a suburb of Akron, Ohio. His parents, Cassius Clay and Mary Lee Whipple Sisler, had been married after meeting at Hiram College, which they both graduated from. Both worked as school teachers at one point, though by the time George was born, Cassius was supervising a nearby coal mine. Manchester did not have a high school. Thus, when George turned 14, he moved to Akron to live with his older brother, Albert, who so that he could attend school there. Sisler played baseball, basketball, and football in high school, but baseball was his main focus. George. During George's senior year, Albert died of tuberculosis. 10, Sisler signed a contract with the Akron Champs of the Ohio-Pennsylvania League, but he never played in the league or earned any money. Instead, he followed his parents and wished to attend the University of Michigan, where he majored in mechanical engineering and played college baseball. Freshmen were not allowed to play on Michigan's varsity team, so Sisler picked for an intra-campus team representing the school's engineering students well, striking out 20 batters in 7 innings during. After the season, he pitched for an industrial team. Barney Dreyfuss, owner of the Pittsburgh Pirates, was impressed when he observed Sisler in a game. He purchased Sisler's contract and tried to force the player to join his ball club in 1912. Refusing to report, Sisler was placed on the Pirates' suspended list, which threatened his professional eligibility. Recognizing he was in trouble, Sisler consulted Branch Rickey, Michigan's baseball coach, a former lawyer, and Rickey determined that the contract should not bind Sisler, since the ball player signed it as a minor without the consent of his parents. Rickey and Detroit Judge George P. Codd contacted the National Commission, baseball's governing body, and asked for the contract to be declared illegal. The commission failed to come to a decision in 1912 because one of its members, August Herman, thought Sisler should give the Pirates the first right to sign him, while Codd wanted the contract declared completely void. After Sisler's junior year, with the time when he would play professional ball nearing, Codd pressed Herman for a decision, threatening to sue for triple damages. Herman obtained a legal opinion that agreed with Sisler's position, and the commission finally ruled the contract void in 1914. Meanwhile, Sisler joined Michigan's varsity team as a sophomore in 1913, and he excelled on the mound for the Wolverines until a sore arm limited him late in the season. Offensively, he led the team with a .445 batting average, and the outfield on the day he was not pitching, so his back could remain in the lineup. Sporting Life proclaimed him the greatest college pitcher, and Vanity Fair named him an All-American for the first of 3 consecutive years. Over the summer of 1913, Sisler consulted Youngstown physician John D. Bonsetter Reese about his sore arm. The Wolverines were now coached by Carl Lundgren, hired as Rickey's successor after the former coach took a job with the St. Louis Browns. Sisler was feeling back in form by the time the season started, and his teammates voted him captain of the Wolverines. He helped the Wolverines hold opponents scoreless for 44 straight innings, personally striking out 10 batters in a row before re-injuring his arm in a game against Syracuse. At the end of the season, he had 2 hits, 3 runs scored, and 2 stolen bases in the first of 2 victories over the Penn Quakers. That gave the Wolverines a 1914 college baseball national championship. Sisler did not remain the captain in 1915, as Edmund McQueen was selected this time. Coach Lundgren planned to use him less as a pitcher early on in hopes that his arm would not be sore by the end of the year. The plan worked. Though pitching statistics for the year were not kept, Sisler had one game where he limited the Cornell Big Red to 1 hit, and in another game he struck out 14 Notre Dame players. He recorded 5 stolen bases in his final game for Michigan, even stealing home once during the game. SISLER batted .451 and committed no errors. He graduated in the summer of 1915 with his degree in mechanical engineering. Right, let me go over here quick and check the chat. Semi-truck. Am I the only one having technical difficulties? I don't think we're having any technical difficulties, are we? Can you see me now? Can you see me now? I don't have my picture in there now with my new streaming software. I'm using StreamYard, so you don't see me, but you'll see the screen. So it's not frozen or anything. I can put my hand there once in a while to make sure you can see me and stuff like that. All right. Let me do a refresh on the chat real quick, and then we'll continue on with his biography here. Okay, actually, let me scroll down. Oh, there we go. Oh, some audio misouts, but nothing major. Okay. As far as his professional career, when he was with the St. Louis Browns, early years, 1915 to 19, both Pittsburgh and the Browns were interested in signing SISLER to play professional baseball for them following his graduation. The Pirates offered $700 a month with a $1,000 bonus, but the Browns offered a $5,000 bonus with a $200 per month salary. SISLER chose the St. Louis Cardinals because he was comfortable playing for Rickey, the Browns manager. On June 28, 1915, SISLER made his major league debut, entering as a pitcher in relief against the Chicago White Sox. He pitched 3 scoreless innings and struck out 2 batters. While at the plate, he collected his first major league hit, which came against Jim Scott. 5 days later, he pitched a complete game victory in his first major league start, in which he struck out 9 batters, but also walked 9. Right? Rickey, however, thought SISLER was too good at baseball to confine him to pitching every few days. First baseman John Leary was struggling at the position, and Rickey decided to try SISLER there. Initially, the stress of learning a new position sent SISLER into a batting slump. But after Rickey let him pitch another game, his confidence began to grow. SISLER still pitched and played in the outfield as well in 1915. On August the 29th, he defeated Walter Johnson in a complete game victory 2-1. Offensively, he batted .285 with 3 home runs, while as a pitcher, he had a 4-4 record with what biography Rick Hunn termed a very respectable 2.83 earned run average. In 1916, SISLER became the Browns' full-time first baseman, playing the position for 141 of the team's 158 games. His .305 batting average led the team, as did his hits and slugging percentage of .400. Though SISLER's 24 errors that year led the American League first baseman, Hunn wrote that he demonstrated significant improvement and infrequent brilliance in the position. He made only 3 appearances on the mound that year, but his most notable was September 17th. He threw a shutout, defeating Johnson and the Senators. On August 11, 1917, in the second game of a doubleheader against the Philadelphia Athletics, SISLER recorded 3 hits and 4 at-bats. The performance began a 26-game hitting streak, during which SISLER batted .422 for the season, and he led the team in most offensive categories, and his .353 batting average was second in the American League behind Ty Cobb's .383. Following the American entry into World War I, the draft was enacted in 1917 and 18 off-season. Brown's Urban Shocker and Ken Williams were both drafted during the 1918 season, but Sisler's Class 4 status kept him playing baseball for the whole year. Due to the war, the season ended on September 1st, making it a month shorter than usual. Playing 114 games, Sisler led the American League with 45 stolen bases and placed third in the American League with a .341 batting average. A government-issued work or fight order required baseball players to assume essential wartime employment or become more eligible for the draft after the season. Sisler enlisted in the Army, joining several major league players as a second lieutenant in a chemical warfare service unit commanded by Rickey. Undergoing training at Camp Humphreys in Virginia, Sisler was prepared to go overseas until the war ended that November, relieving him from his military obligation. Returning to the Browns in 1919, Sisler offensively, at the beginning of the year, batting .207 through May 11th. His hitting improved, and Sisler led the American League in batting average and stolen bases by mid-August, while the Browns at 47 and 40 were still in the race for the American League pennant. On August the 22nd, the normally quiet-natured Sisler nearly exchanged blows with Carl Mays, thinking that the Yankees pitcher was throwing at him and suspecting Mays of using an illegal substance. Sisler convinced Oh, I see it. It scrolled up on me. On August the 22nd, the normally quiet-natured Sisler exchanged blows with Carl Mays, thinking that the Yankee pitcher was throwing at him and suspecting Mays of using an illegal substance. Sisler convinced umpire George Moriarty that to search Mays, which Moriarty took 10 minutes to do. Nothing was found, and Mays and Sisler yelled at each other, squaring off to fight before Moriarty stepped between them and separated them. The Browns struggled late in the season, finishing fifth in the American League with a 62 and 72 and 1 record. But Sisler finished the year leading the team in all offensive categories except games played. His .352 average ranked third in the American League, and his 10 home runs were topped in the league only by Babe Ruth with 29. Defensively, he had a .991 fielding percentage and led the American League first baseman with 20 assists. As far as a .400 hitter, an MVP in 1920 to 22. In 1920, baseball began to be manufactured with a tighter wound yarn, and greater emphasis was placed on keeping the balls clean, which made them easier for hitters to spot. These changes ushered in the live ball era, which many batters began to hit more runs. Not possessing the arm strength of sluggers like Ruth, Sisler did not try for as many home runs, but his numbers rose in other offensive categories. That season, Sisler played every inning of each game. He collected an MLB record 257 hits, batting .407 and ending the season with averages of .442 in August and .448 in September. The total broke Cobb's 1911 record of 247 hits in a single season. After tying the old record on September 27th, Sisler set the new one on a day that was coincidentally declared to him. in which he was presented with a $1,000 check, a 1,500 silver service, and flowers before the game at Sportsman Park. His record lasted until 2004 when Ichiro Suzuki had 262. SISLER also finished second in the American League in 8 offensive categories, including home runs, 19 behind Ruth's 54, RBIs, 122, tied with teammate Bobby Doll Jacobson, besides Ruth's 135, and stolen bases, 42, behind Sam Rice. And despite finishing to Ruth in home runs, SISLER did not attempt them as often, as he was able to maintain a higher batting average by merely focusing on making contact with the ball. As far as his vision troubles in 1923, a severe attack of sinusitis caused SISLER double vision in 1923. He had surgery to treat the condition on April 13th and received treatment from an eye specialist afterwards. By May, it was clear that the vision trouble was long-term, jeopardizing SISLER's chance of ever playing again. As a result, the Browns acquired Dutch Sleebner to play first base and for them that season. SISLER began attending games in April, regularly sitting in the upper deck at Sportsman's Park. During the year, he and many of his Browns teammates signed a petition to American League President Van Johnson seeking to get Dave Danforth reinstated after Johnson suspected Danforth 10 games for allegedly tampering with baseballs. Manager Lee Fole refused to sign it and was fired days later. SISLER's eye treatment concluded by the end of the year, and the Browns hoped he would be able to play again in 2024. SISLER ensured he would remain with them by accepting the managerial position after the 1923 season. His worries about its effect on his hitting, now counterbalanced by the uncertainty surrounding his playing career. Most people were in favor of the move. The sports writer Joe Bila wrote, SISLER, in the opinion of the Sharps, is a born leader. As far as player-manager, 1924 through 1926, returning to play with the Browns in the beginning of the 1924 spring training, SISLER batted .324 in the exhibition contest and was St. Louis's starting first baseman on opening day. SISLER later recalled, I planned to get back in uniform for 1924. He just had to meet a ball with a good swing again and then run. The doctors all said never play again. But when you're fighting for something that you actually keeps you alive, well, the human will is all you need. Observers noticed that he had to squint to see the ball, and SISLER said in an interview that he was now more concerned with making contact with the ball instead of hitting it between the fielders. He batted .305 in 1924 and nearly 100 points below his combined batting average for 1920 through 22. He also led the American League first baseman with 23 errors, though not as good as he had been before the vision troubles. SISLER had proven he could still play the game, according to Hume. As the ball club's manager, SISLER asked his players for advice. He's one of the fellows, but he's the leader, said Ken Williams. He did not have a set bedtime or wake-up time for the ball club, unlike several other MLB managers. Despite his players' manager reputation, SISLER would still discipline his squad when necessary, as he proved in May when he fined Shocker for skipping and showing up late to several Browns games with no explanation. After a fifth-place finish in the 8-team American League, In 1923, the Browns posted an identical 74-78 record in 1924, this time for fourth in the league. SISLER started the 1925 season by setting an MLB record with hits in his first 34 games of the year. Later in the season, he would have a 22-game hitting streak. Ruth said on May 10th that the Browns player was staging the greatest comeback ever known to baseball. The league ought to strike a medal for iron, nerve, and give it to George. He has whipped the worst odds any ball player ever played against. SISLER had the fourth and final 100 RBI season with 105 runs driven in, and he batted .345. Though these statistics were more impressive than ones of many Hall of Famers that would approach their careers, SISLER said, "Oh, I know I hit .345 and got 228 hits. Really 224 in 1925. But that never gave me much satisfaction. That isn't what I call a good hitting." With a record under 400 on July 3rd, the Browns were never in close contention for the American League pennant. They finished the year with a 82-71 record, good for third place in the league. In 1926, the injury-plagued Browns lost their 5 games, along with 19 in a May road trip. There were reports as early as May that SISLER's management job was in jeopardy. And on June 1st, St. Louis sports writer J. Roy Stockton blamed the team's struggles on SISLER's easygoing attitude, saying the Browns have taken advantage of his kindness. With the team struggling, SISLER saw his RBI production diminish, and he struggled in August, batting .038 in his first 7 games and going hitless in 17 consecutive at-bats during that time. In 150 games, he had 7 home runs and 71 RBIs. His .290 batting average was his lowest since he batted .285 as a rookie in 1915. The Browns struggled with a 62-92 seventh-place finish in 1926, and their .403 winning percentage was the franchise's lowest since 1916. SISLER was relieved of his managerial duties after the season, though he was retained as the Browns' first baseman. The last season with the Browns in 1927, SISLER batted .400 early in his season. On May 3rd, he had 3 hits and stole home in a 13-3 victory over the Cleveland Indians. In August, the St. Louis sports writer John E. Ray wrote that we're not in for the surprising flash of Lou Gehrig. SISLER batting .340 would have the first base championship in the American League wrapped up and tucked away. Defensively, he led the American League basemen in errors once again with 24. However, he batted .327 with 201 hits, 5 home runs, and 97 RBIs, leading the American League in stolen bases for the fourth time with 27. The Browns endured another losing season, and as early as July 26th, over Phil Ball announced that with the team losing money, it would be trading many of its star players. On December 14th, SISLER was traded to the Senators for cash, reported as $15,000 in Washington and $25,000 in St. Louis. Okay. Then on to the Boston Braves. Hornsby, who had starred for the National League's Cardinals in sports Sportsman's Park for many years, now managed the Braves, and after spearheading the SISLER acquisition, he installed the veteran as Boston's everyday first baseman, receiving a standing ovation from the Boston fans for his first game at Braves Field. On May 29th, he showed enough speed for an infield hit. 2 days later, he hit a home run that bounced through the window of a bus passing the ballpark. Returning to Sportsman Park for a series against the Cardinals in July, he was honored with a flower basket, a silver tea service, and a letter from St. Louis Mayor Victor J. Miller in a pregame presentation on July 7th. In 118 games for Boston, SISLER hit 4 home runs and 68 RBIs, also posting a .988 fielding percentage at first base. His 340 batting average put him percentage points ahead of Babe Herman for the 4th in the National League. Then, as far as the minor leagues, unassigned by any MLB team in 1931, SISLER joined the minor league Rochester Red Wings of the International League. In the second game of a September 10th doubleheader, SISLER hit a walk-off home run in the bottom of the ninth inning, clinching the International League pennant for Rochester. In 159 games, he batted .303 and struck out just 17 times out of 613 at-bats. In 1932, SISLER joined the Shreveport Sports of the Texas League as their player manager. The team moved to Tyler, Texas after May 4th. Fire destroyed their ballpark. In 78 games, SISLER batted .287, going 38 consecutive games without striking out at one point. The team, however, struggled after having to catch an easy pop fly in mid-season. SISLER resigned as manager and retired as an active player. As far as his career statistics, SISLER accumulated a .340 lifetime batting average over his 16 years in the major leagues and stole 375 bases during his career. He had 200 or more hits in 6 seasons. He hit over 300 13 times, including 2 seasons in which he hit over 400. 1926 was his only full season in which his average was less than 300. He stole over 25 bases in every year from 1916 to 1922, with peak 51 in the last year, and leading the American League 3 times, plus a 4th in 1927. SISLER recorded 1 6-hit game, 4 5-hit games, and 64 hit games in his 15-year MLB career. He also had a 41-game hitting streak in 1922 and a 34-game hitting streak in 1925. The Browns moved to Baltimore in 1954 and became the Orioles. SISLER holds the franchise career record with 145 career triples and 351 stolen bases. He holds the franchise single-season record for batting average at .420 in 1922 and an on-base percentage of .467 in 1922. Hit .257 in 1920, and his on-base plus slugging was .1.082 in 1920, and total bases 399 in 1920. And he also posted a career pitching record of 5 of 6 with a .235 earned run average in 24 career appearances. Right? As far as his legacy, SISLER became one of the first entrants elected into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1939. Though voting had first been held in 1936, SISLER was part of the first group inducted when the Hall of Fame opened in June of 1939. I think it's the greatest honor the game can offer a retired player is its satisfaction to know that your career is still remembered years after you have hung up your glove, he said. In 1969, editors of the Sporting News ranked Sisler 33rd on the list of the baseball's 100 greatest players. Outside of St. Louis, Busch Stadium, there is a statue of Sisler, and he is also honored with a star on the St. Louis Walk of Fame. While in St. Louis for the 2009 All-Star Game, Ichiro Suzuki, who had broken Sisler's record, visited the former Browns gravesite, Tarpon Springs, Florida, honored George by naming the former spring training home of the St. Louis Browns Sisler Field. The playing surface is still used by various local teams. As far as later in life, in 1933, Sisler partnered with Charles Nelson to open the Sisler Nelson Sporting Goods Company in St. Louis. That same year, they formed the American Southern Association, building several softball fields with lights and for night games around St. Louis to help stimulate interest in the game and the business. He also joined Hornsby for 3 winters as an instructor for the Ray Doan Baseball School in Hot Springs, Arkansas. In 1936 and 7, Sisler served as a color commentator for the Browns and Cardinals home games broadcast on KWK, replacing Honus Wagner in 1938 as the commissioner of the National Baseball Congress. Sisler held the role for many years. He sold his interest in the sporting goods store in 1940 at a profit. Sisler returned to work with the MLB teams in December of 1942 when Ricky, now the general manager of the Brooklyn Dodgers, hired Sisler as a special assignment scout for the team. He would attend spring training with the parent club and the scout players at the school, college, and semi-pro levels, mostly in Missouri and neighboring states, though he would sometimes be sent elsewhere to evaluate a particular player. Sisler was part of a scouting corps that Ricky assigned to evaluate black players, though the scouts they thought were looking for players to fill all black baseball teams separate from MLB. After seeing the Kansas City Monarchs play in 1945, Sisler thought Jackie Robinson had the potential to be a star second baseman. Though he concurred about whether Robinson had enough arm strength to play shortstop, Ricky signed Robinson on October 23rd. And the ballplayer broke the MLB color barrier 2 years later on its way to the Hall of Fame career. In 1947, Sisler was reassigned to Brooklyn, where his duties expanded to evaluating Dodger prospects, meeting with the manager and coaches prior to the following each game, and watching games to help Dodger catchers learn what opposing hitters were likely to do. In 1949, Robinson spent hours working with Sisler in spring training, hoping to improve his performance at the plate. Sisler showed me how to stop lunging and how to check my swing the last fraction of a second, and to shift my feet and hit to right. I'll never stop being grateful to him, Robinson recalled. Sisler and Ricky worked with future Hall of Famer Duke Snider to teach the young Dodgers hitter to accurately judge the strike zone. Other hitters Sisler instructed and helped improve included Carl Furillo and Gil Hodges. In 1951, he signed future star pitcher Johnny Padres for the Dodgers. Sisler's duties with the Padres changed again in 1963 when the ball club assigned him to be a scout for the St. Louis area responsible for evaluating National League players. Sisler also instructed players in spring training and coached a fall instructional league in Team Chandler, Arizona. Willie Stargell was one of the Chandler team's alumni. After spending 8 days in St. Louis's St. Mary's Hospital, Sisler died in Richmond Heights, Missouri on March the 26th, 1973 of kidney failure exacerbated by heart trouble. His death came 2 days after his 80th birthday. His funeral occurred in St. Louis a few days later, and his cremated remains were laid to rest at the Des Peres Presbyterian Church Cemetery. As far as his personal life, in 1913, Sisler met his future wife, Kathleen Charlotte Hosnagel. Both were married in Greek life at the University of Michigan. They were married on October 21st, 1960. Opened my mail yesterday, Don. I thank you so much for my free cards. Oh, no problem there. That was you won a prize. Didn't you? Hold on. Oh no, I gave you some bonus cards with your Patreon package. Right? Yeah. All right. Sisler did not consume alcohol or tobacco, and he refrained from swearing. In the first years of his career, he attended a Presbyterian church. As he battled eye trouble in 1923, Brown's part owner, Walter Fritsch, suggested he look into Christian Science. Soon a strong believer in its power, Sisler had spiritual advisor Dr. John Randall Dunn accompany him to the Brown Spring Training in 1924, where he made his comeback. Sisler discussed hitting a 1934 pamphlet entitled The Knack of Batting, and in 1954, a book entitled Sisler on Baseball, a manual for players and coaches. Sportscaster Red Barber said in 1969 that the book was still the definitive book on hitting. Sisler's sons, Dick and Dave, were also major league players in the 1950s. George was the Dodgers scout in 1950 when Dick hit a game-winning home run against Brooklyn to clinch the pennant for the Phillies and eliminate the second-place Dodgers. Asked after the pennant-winning game how he felt when his son hit the home run, George replied, "I felt awful and terrific at the same time." Another son, George Jr., served as a minor league executive and was the president of the International League Sislers. One other child, daughter Frances. So there you have it. That's George Sisler's biography, and let's go over his Hall of Fame induction stats. Again, he was a first baseman and a manager. He was born March 24th, 1893 in Manchester, Ohio. He died March 26th, 1973 at the age of 80 in Richmond Heights, Missouri. He batted left through left. His MLB debut, June 28, 1915, for the St. Louis Browns, and then September 22nd, 1930, for the Boston Braves. His MLB statistics, his batting average is .340, his hits, 2,812, home runs, 102, runs batted in, 1,175. His managerial record, 218 wins, 241 losses. His winning percentage, .475. Teams he played for as a player, the St. Louis Browns, 1915 to 22 and 24 to 27. The Washington Senators, 1928. And the Boston Braves, 1928 to 1930. As a manager, he was with the St. Louis Browns from 1924 to 1926. As far as his career highlights and awards, he was an American League MVP in 1922, a 2 times American League batting champion 1920 and 22, and a 4-time American League stolen base leader in 1918, 21, 22, and 27. He's a member of the National Baseball Hall of Fame, inducted in 1939 with 85.8% of the vote on his 4th ballot. So there you go. George SISLER's biography. Okay. Get back here. Let me go ahead and change the camera so I could say goodbye and do the 2-minute warning for you. Hopefully you enjoyed that biography. Okay. All right, there we go. You can see me now. I'll get everybody logged in here for the 2-minute warning because we already went over the placard and the 2 baseball cards I've got. So let me get this started real quick here. Okay. Scooch that out of the way here and go. And this is your way at the end of the stream, if you stuck with me through everything, to get 2 entries at the end of the stream. So we got 301. At 303, we'll end the 2-minute warning. All right. Chuck says he's here. He gets his 2. Chuck's here. Bernie's here. All right. Hopefully you guys are have a great evening, Donald, and everybody another great striga. I know you mean stream, as always. And Chuck says he's here. Is anybody else here to get their end of stream entries? All you gotta do is say hello, hi, how you doing? And you get them at the end of the stream. So far, Bernie and Chuck. Anybody else? Dun, 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 dun. There we go. So is that it? It's 3, I guess so. Just Bernie and Chuck. Bernie and Chuck hung out till the end. As I hit the 303 mark, our 2-minute warning, and it'll be done. We'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow will be. Who is tomorrow? It's going to be Eno Slaughter tomorrow. Eno Slaughter will be our Hall of Famer for tomorrow. Big Ray's in the house. Big Ray made it. And I think that's it. Okay. All right. So you all take care. This has been Don Blomdahl, Hall of Fame Veterans, Sports Cards, and more with episode 281, George SISLER and Art Trivia times 2. So until tomorrow, you all have a great and wonderful night, and we will see you tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad channel, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Y'all take care. Have a wonderful and blessed day, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.